If you've ridden an old wooden coaster, something dating back 50 plus years, chances are it was made by Philadelphia Toboggan Coasters, or PTC. This company got started in 1904 and is still in business to this day. You've probably seen their trains on a bunch of wooden coasters, but they stopped making new coasters in 1976. They've built 127 coasters, all of them in North America, and despite being between 49 and 108 years old, 24 are still standing to this day. Today, let's track them down and find out which one is the tallest, fastest, longest, best paced, and rank them up based on prime ride time. These are the active coasters of PTC. By the numbers. If you're new to the series, prime ride time starts when the train picks up speed off the lift and ends when it hits the final brakes. With the help of Google Maps and the Pythagorean theorem, I was able to take out the lift, station, and brakes from the overall length. So, the number on your screen will not match the number on RCDB. There are 24 active, but there is one I had to leave out, Black Diamond at Knoebels. Opening at Dinosaur Beach in 1960, moved here in 2011. This is more of a dark ride than a coaster. It does have a lift hill and a few moments where it speeds up, but it acts like a dark ride, so it's not comparable to the rest of these coasters. This has just short of 2,000 feet of track, that would be 11th. Reaches 35 feet, that'd be tied for 18th. And that 12 miles an hour top speed is obviously last. Surprisingly, there is one coaster with worse pacing, this covering 11.2 feet per second. And as you would expect, it blows away the field in ride time, 176 seconds, almost 3 full minutes. Interesting ride, just not right for this video. In 23rd place with 33 seconds is Little Dipper at Six Flags Great America. Opening in 1950 at Kittyland in Illinois, when the park shut down in 2009, Great America bought it for $33,000, and here it stands today. This is a very small figure-8 family wooden coaster. At 28 feet tall, it's tied for third to last, 25 miles an hour and a 4-way tie for 19th. But it's crazy how little prime ride track this has. Only 334 feet. That's last by almost 200 feet, and only covers 10.1 feet per second, even slower than Black Diamond. So, good for kids, a classic Woody, but very, very slow. Tied for 21st place with 34 seconds is Woodstock Express at Carowinds. Taft loved putting in these family wooden coasters, and the same year they acquired Carowinds, this one popped up, named Scooby-Doo. At 38.6 feet tall, it's tied at 16. So that shows you there are quite a few smaller coasters out there. In a 4-way tie for 15th at 35 miles an hour, a double out and back figure-8 layout, just under 1,000 feet of track, 18th place, and 17th in pacing, 27.4 feet per second. Tied for 21st place with 34 seconds is Meteor at Little America, another family wooden coaster. This had 2 stops in Illinois before finding its way to Wisconsin, starting its life in 1953, ending up here in 2007. This has a little dip off the left and turns around before its main drop, only 28 feet tall. That's tied with Little Dipper for 20th, and it's got the lowest top speed of any coaster on the list, 20 miles an hour, falling just shy of 700 feet, third to last. Also, third to last in pacing at 20.4 feet per second. That's bad, but still twice as good as Little Dipper. In 20th place with 35 seconds is Woodstock Express at King's Dominion. Pretty much the same thing as the one at Carowinds. Like I said, Taft loved these coasters back in the 70s. This one is a few feet shorter, 35 feet tall is tied at 18th, but it's got the same top speed of 35 miles an hour, 15th, having a bit more track but still not cracking 1,000 feet, 17th, and does beat the Carowinds version in pacing, but only by less than a half foot per second, landing at 16th. Tied for 18th place with 36 seconds is Woodstock Express at Kings Island, the third and final Taft family wooden coaster. This being the original, this has the same height as the one at Carowinds, 38.6 feet, tied at 16th, is part of the 4-coaster tie at 35 miles an hour, 15th. At 926 feet, it's the shortest Woodstock coaster, 19th. And as you would expect, more ride time and less track. It's almost 2 feet per second slower than the Carowinds version, 18th place. Tied for 18th place at 36 seconds is Roller Coaster at Idlewild, another small wooden coaster, this going back to 1938. It has a custom out and back layout along a hillside. Those trees making it seem faster than it is, but it's only 27 feet tall, that's second to last, has the same 25 mile an hour top speed as Little Dipper, tied at 19. Only 522 feet of track, really suffering from not having a second lap, that's second to last, and that pacing is just as bad at 14.5 feet per second. Having ridden this, it didn't seem that slow, but that tight wooden setting helps. In 17th place with 39 seconds is Comet at Waldameer. Everyone comes here for a Ravine Flyer 2, but since 1951, they've had this family PTC wooden coaster. 37 feet tall, but only a 25-foot drop. That puts it all the way into last place. Naturally, isn't very fast. Part of the 4-way tie at 25 miles an hour, 19th. And this does have 2 laps, but it's not as long as the Woodstock Coasters, just short of 900 feet in 20th place. Also, 20th in pacing at 22.7 feet per second. Tied for 14th place with 40 seconds is Sea Dragon at the Columbus Zoo. In a state dominated by Kings Island and Cedar Point, here we have the Columbus Zoo and their wooden coaster that dates back to 1956, and it's basically the same as those Woodstock coasters. Its 35-foot height puts it in line with Woodstock at Kings Dominion, 18th place. Another one of those 25-mile-an-hour coasters, 19th. Falls just short of 1,000 feet of track, so a bit longer than the Woodstock coasters. But with the extra ride time, it's paced worse than all of them, 24.7 feet per second in 19th place. Tied for 14th place with 40 seconds is Cannonball at Lake Winnie. This has a very basic airtime hill-filled out and back layout, and now we're getting into some of the bigger coasters. This opened in 1967 and is 70 feet tall, top half in 11th place, in a 3-way tie for 7th place at 50 miles an hour, almost 1,600 feet of prime ride track, near the middle at 14th place, and stays mostly low to the ground, but has one big airtime hill, and of course, the one big slow turnaround. But still, it lands in 13th place at 39.7 feet per second, and frankly, I'm happy to stop talking about family wooden coasters. Tied for 14th place with 40 seconds is Swamp Fox at Family Kingdom. Opening in 1966, this has a figure-8 layout and starts off with a 62-foot drop, 14th place. Just like Cannonball, it goes up to 50 miles an hour, 7th place. Ranks one spot ahead of Cannonball in length. 1,737 feet is good for 13th, but does have much better pacing, cracking the top 10 at 43.4 feet per second, and by most accounts, this is one of the better old wooden coasters in the country. Tied for 12th place with 43 seconds is Thunderhawk at Dorney Park. This just turned 100 years old in 2024, having a very unique layout, heading out, going into a twister section, and then going into a run at airtime hills to end. It's 80 feet tall, but starts with a 65-foot drop. That's 12th. Maxes out at 45 miles an hour, tied at 11th. But that layout does afford more track, over 2,100 feet total. That's top 10. And its best attribute is the way it moves through that course, never getting too high or slowing down to those turns. 49.2 feet per second puts it all the way up at number 4. I rode it on its 100th anniversary, and although I didn't get any airtime, I can't complain about its pacing. Tied for 12th place with 43 seconds is Blue Streak at Cedar Point. The oldest operating coaster at Cedar Point, this still gives great rides in the front of the park ever since 1964. 78 feet tall and a 72-foot drop, that's tied at number 9. Its 40-mile-an-hour top speed is tied at 13, and it's not a long coaster, a very basic out and back layout full of small airtime hills. 1,843 feet of track, that's 11th. And despite ripping through those hills, it does have a big slow turnaround and that keeps its pacing down. Still top half, but falling just short of Swamp Fox in the top 10, 42.9 feet per second. In 11th place with 47 seconds is Yankee Cannonball at Canopy Lake Park. Here we have an L-shaped layout, running right alongside the Canopy Lake parking lot, being here since 1936. It stands 63.5 feet tall, just short of Thunderhawk's first drop in 13th place, and surprisingly is only listed at 35 miles an hour, that's tied at 15th. Right along with those Woodstock coasters, those being 25 feet shorter, so who knows how accurate those stats are. Its length is very close to Cannonball, that being out and back and this being bent in the middle, 15th place, and it has 2 big turns high off the ground. That pushes its pacing down in the bottom half, 33.4 feet per second in 14th place. In 10th place with 48 seconds is Wildcat at Lake Compounds. This Woody is turning 98 this year and has gotten so many renovations over the years. Apparently, it's a good ride now. That hasn't always been the case. It's got good size, 78 feet tall is 7th place, maxing out at 48 miles an hour, that's 10th. This making 2 laps around its course, sporting 40 more feet of track than Thunderhawk, 2,155 feet in 9th place, and keeps that pacing well, 44.9 feet per second is all the way up at 7th place. In 9th place with 52 seconds is Screamin' Eagle at Six Flags St. Louis. This was their last active coaster opening in 1976, and they made this a big one. At 110 feet and a 92-foot drop, this tops the list. A 62-mile-an-hour top speed also ranks number 1, a full 5 miles an hour ahead of the field, also having an L-shaped layout into the trees. 2,854 feet of track that can be fun if it's not running rough, that's 3rd place. And all that speed makes up for its 3 turns, once again landing at number 3 at 54.9 feet per second. In 8th place with 53 seconds is Racer 75 at Kings Dominion. When Taft opened this park in 1975, they knew what to do. Make a big dual-track PTC wooden coaster their headline coaster, this being called Rebel Yell and changing its name in 2018. This is very basic. It races out, turns around, meets back up with this track, and heads back to the station. It's 85 feet tall, 6th place, 56 miles an hour putting it up at 3rd, 2,384 feet of track. And that is only for one side, but these two are identical, and it has enough size and speed to keep that pacing even despite that turnaround. 45 feet per second is just barely ahead of Wildcat at Lake Compounds, 6th place. Tied for 6th place with 54 seconds is Racer at Kings Island. the coaster that inspired Racer 75. Racer at Kings Island actually inspired a lot of coasters in the 70s, not just the racing wooden coasters. This is 3 feet taller than its successor, 88 feet is tied at 3rd place, but somehow its top speed is 3 miles an hour slower, knocking it down to number 5. When it comes to track length, they're only 7 feet apart. Kings Island's falling short, 8th place. Also 8th in pacing and 1 foot per second behind the one at Kings Dominion. Racer wasn't only a trailblazer, it's been getting a lot of work and is still a very good ride 53 years later. Tied for 6th place with 54 seconds is Wild One at Six Flags America. The oldest active PTC coaster, this opened at Massachusetts Paragon Park in 1917, moved here in 1986, and it's hard to believe they actually moved it because it's crazy long. It has 4,000 feet of track in total, over 3,100 feet of that track being prime, and that's 2nd place. As you would expect, it has good size, the same as Racer at 88 feet, 3rd place. Also, matches Racer's 53 miles an hour, top 5. And this out and back wooden coaster ends with a helix, slowing down a bit heading into that. Also has your typical big slow turnaround, but given that speed and staying low to the ground, it wins the pacing battle, 58.2 feet per second being the best among the active PTCs. Tied for 4th place with 59 seconds is Phoenix at Knoebels. Opening in 1947 as Rocket at Playland Park in San Antonio, moving here in 1985. Phoenix is racking up the awards, but it's not because of its size. Just like Blue Streak, it's 78 feet tall and has a 72-foot drop, 9th place, maxing out at just 45 miles an hour, tied with Thunderhawk in 11th place, going into a double out and back layout full of all kinds of different hills. That makes this coaster what it is. Almost 2,600 feet of prime ride track is 6th place, just ahead of Racer and Racer 75, but its pacing is just behind those two, 9th place at 43.8 feet per second. So that just shows you don't need crazy stats to make an elite coaster. Tied for 4th place with 59 seconds is Great American Scream Machine at Six Flags Over Georgia. 3 years before Screamin' Eagle, PTC cracked the 100-foot mark here at Over Georgia, but that first drop is only 89 feet, still good for 2nd place and 3 feet behind Screamin' Eagle. It's also 2nd in speed, hitting 57 miles an hour, 5 miles an hour behind Screamin' Eagle. Not quite as good in length, but still cracks the top 5, 2,659 feet in that L-shaped layout around the lake, being big and fast enough to achieve a top 5 rank in pacing as well, 45.1 feet per second. In 3rd place with 62 seconds is Skyliner at Lakemont Park. This is not dead yet. Lakemont is just keeping it idle as they try to get their finances in order. This park having bought this coaster in 1987, getting started at New York's Roseland Park in 1960. This has a very compact L-shaped layout going out and back twice, only 60 feet tall and having a 45-foot drop, that's down at 15th. Having the same 40 mile an hour top speed as Blue Streak, 13th place. Because that layout is so compact, it doesn't have as much track as you would think, 12th place at just under 1,800 feet. Also right behind Blue Streak. So, given its small size, lack of long track length, over a minute of ride time, that sounds like a pacing disaster, and it's not good. 28.7 feet per second is 15th place. And it is the worst paced coaster of the large-scale PTCs, only the family coasters below it. In 2nd place with 63 seconds is Comet at Great Escape. Starting at Crystal Beach in Canada way back in 1948, this moved to New York in 1994, and it's still a star coaster. This double out and back coaster has almost 4,200 feet of total track, and once you take out the lift, station, and brakes, you still end up with over 3,500 feet, and that blows away the field, besting Wild One by about 350 feet. It gets started with an 87-foot drop, that's top 5, 4th in speed at 55 miles an hour, 2 big turnarounds between a bunch of very low airtime hills, but they don't hurt the pacing too much. It's 55.7 feet per second, that's 2nd place. This was my 500th coaster, and it was a good choice. It didn't have much airtime, but it was definitely a very long, solid ride. In 1st place with 68 seconds is Comet at Hershey Park. The oldest operating coaster at Hershey Park, ever since 1946. This rare T-shaped layout has been a rock at Hershey Park, starting with a 78-foot drop. That's tied with Wildcat at Lake Compounds at number 7. Also tied at 7th in speed at 50 miles an hour, immediately rising into a big turnaround, having 2 more of those 180-degree turns on the ride, having over 2,800 feet of track, that's 4th. And it does lose quite a bit of speed by the end, hence the 68 seconds of ride time, that pacing falling all the way down to 12th. That's bottom half of the field. Comet is the king of ride time, but as I like to do at the end of each video, let's take the average rank of each coaster across all 5 categories and see who's the overall winner. Comet does win, but it's the one at Great Escape, having an average rank of 2.8. Screamin' Eagle and Wild One tied at number 2, Great American Scream Machine just barely behind that. Then a bit of a drop as the 2 racers, Kings Island and Kings Dominion, both have an average rank of 6, and Comet at Hershey Park lands just behind them at number 7. Working down the line, you have the rest of the large-scale PTCs, Yankee Cannonball at 13.6 being the lowest ranked one, Sea Dragon being the best of the family-size ones, and Little Dipper at Great America being dead last, 21.6 out of a possible 23. That's a wrap on the world's active PTC coasters, by the numbers. Let me know if anything here surprised you, or confirmed something you already knew. I did not expect Thunderhawk to be that well paced, finishing 4th place, and blowing away Bluestreak in this category. It seems like Bluestreak is way more insane than Thunderhawk. Also, I didn't think Skyliner was on the smaller side, only a 45-foot drop and less than 1,800 feet of track. Even having ridden this, I wouldn't have guessed those stats were that unimpressive. If you enjoyed this video, please drop a like, and if you're new here and want to see more like this, please give me a sub. I want to thank my Patreons. If you want bonus access, bonus content, and have your name listed at the end of each video, check my links below and join. Also, check out my second channel where I post copyright-free off-ride footage. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time.